Number 2, find the roots and extrema of the following equations. So we have a part A and a part B. I'm going to point out, this is a reminder, that this tells you the maximum number. So at most 4 real zeros, which also means it has at most 3 extrema, which would be like turns. Remember, extrema is like a maximum or minimum, which would look like a turn on the graph. So you'd have at most 4 and 3. And like on the next problem, we're not going to be able to find the exact ones in the next one, but I can say here, this has at most 6 real zeros, and it would have at most 5 turns, or 5 extrema. Okay, so let's find out where these exactly are. You can do this by factoring. Like I can see that this has a GCF, and so I could begin by saying, oh, this is x, and then x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 24. I could do that, and I could try grouping. If you do grouping, you have to be able to pull out the same thing from the first 2 terms as the second 2. Like you'd have to have the same, when you pull out your GCF, like here, I pull out an x squared, and I'd be left with x minus 2. But if I don't have an x minus 2 over here, which I'm not, then I can't factor it in this way. It's a shame, but just can't do it. So I can't factor by grouping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator to help me, because we could use like synthetic division or anything like that if I knew what to use. So I'm going to go over to the graph here, and this time I'll do graphing first rather than the last problem where I did graphing second. Let's go to graphs. And we're going to type it in exactly as it was given to us. It was x to the 4th. Was it plus 2x cubed, I think? We'll go back. Or minus 2x cubed. Okay. Got it checked. Let's make that a minus 2x cubed. And then we have a plus 5x squared plus 5x squared minus 24x. And graph it like that. And so as I look back over here, yeah, make sure I had that right. It looks like there's this x at 0, which we knew we could have gotten from here. If you would have set this equal to 0 and said, okay, I want to look for zeros here, we already know that there's going to be 1 at x equals 0. Okay, so that's 1, 0. Now to find the rest, I'm looking over here. It looks like I have a pretty good 0 at 3. So analyze graph for 0, and I'm looking between these 2 spots. Yeah, at 3, I have one. So if I use synthetic division here, it'll give me the other one. So I'm going to pull this down and say I'm dividing by 3, and this would be the values 1, negative 2, 5, negative 24. Now remember, when you use synthetic, you follow mama, which means you multiply, add, you go in that order. So 1 comes out. 3 times 1, I'm multiplying, is 3. Now I add, so I get 1, again, 3. This is 8. Multiply is negative, or positive 24. I'm sorry, positive 24. That gives me 0 as my remainder. Since I have a remainder of 0, this is a factor. So not only do we have x equals 0, we have that x equals 3, and it gives me the equation here. The start is x cubed here. This is now x squared plus x plus 8. And so you could try to factor that. What are factors of 8 that add up to 1? Well, you can see there's nothing that's really that good. And if I zoom out, I can look to see. It doesn't look like there's any other real ones here. So the only 2 real ones are at 0 and 3. And it's because I cannot factor the equation x squared plus x plus 8. Like if you put your symbols in there, that doesn't factor. So there's no other good zeros. So these would be the roots here. X equals 0, x equals 3. Those are my roots. And it looks like the only extrema I see would be here. So I go menu, analyze graph. I'm going to look for the minimum there because I see that there's a 0. That is my that's my minimum there, or an extrema. So if I put that picture over here, value at least. And so I can say a minimum. It looks like an absolute minimum. Forgot the B, sorry. Absolute, there we go. Absolute minimum occurs at 1.87, comma, negative 28.2. And that would be my other answer here. So here were the roots. There were 2 of them. Here's the absolute minimum. So did it have at its most 4 real zeros? No, it did not. It only had 2 real zeros, and it only had 1 extrema. But this here, without the letters, since we don't know the equation, it could have at most 6 real zeros and 5 extrema.